First of all, let's be realistic. You need more than those three things. You need some water, some food, maybe some shelter and sleep. But other than that,
Yeah, put that to a rhythm though. It
yeah,
doesn't really work
yeah.
out. That way. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It just
Water,
it's just not the same.
water, food, and sleep and rest.
Like you got the cadence there. Yeah. Hey, welcome back to Into the Music. My name is Chris. I'm here with my buddy Greg, and Greg's got a hopefully kick-ass song for me to listen to.
Kick ass, man. Kick ass. So, rock and roll.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Did you hear that phrase? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, I have.
Supposedly,
Not enough of the first.
From what I
No
understand,
longer any of the second.
okay. From what I understand,
The third.
from what I understand, it might have been coined by this guy. His name is Ian Dury. I think I'm saying his last name right. And he was part of a band called the Blockheads. So Ian Dury and the Blockheads, and they came out with a song called "Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll."
Yeah, I know the song.
Oh, you know the song?
I've heard it before. I just haven't heard it in a while.
Okay. So we're making one of these calls, right? So people see this. That means we went with it. You want to go with it? You want to?
Yeah, let's go with it. I am surprised that you asked me to listen to it because I would assume you think I'd know this already. You know,
there's been other songs that I've assumed, and then I found out that you didn't know, right?
Okay,
so, right? Enough. You know that.
So, and I've done it with you too. Yeah.
There you go, man. So might as well just ask, right?
Okay, ask. But I'm game for listening to it again.
All right, cool.
I'm overdue. I love that guitar riff. I'll go back to the beginning. That drum intro is great too.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll is all my brain and body need. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. It's very good indeed. Keep your silly ways or throw them out the window. The wisdom of your ways. I've been there and I know lots of other ways. What a jolly bad show. If all you ever do is business you don't like. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Sex and drugs and rock and roll is very good indeed. Every bit of clothing ought to make you pretty. You can cut the clothing, grey is such a pity. I should wear the clothing of Mr. Walter Mitty. See my tailor, he's called Simon. I know it's going
Man, it's such an upbeat song. I was good listening to that again. That's great stuff.
So how is it like, touching base again with that
I
song,
don't remember.
You know?
Must have been all that, all the drugs in addition
Sex
to
and
the
drugs and rock.
roll and
Yeah.
sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's be realistic. You need more than those three things. You need some water, some food, maybe some shelter and sleep. But other than that,
Yeah, put that to a rhythm though. It
yeah,
doesn't really work
yeah,
out that way. Yeah.
no, it doesn't. It just
Water,
it's just not the same.
water, food, and sleep and rest.
Like you got the cadence there. Yeah. I love this song though. I always have, but like I said, I haven't heard it in a while. So
Cool. Yeah.
kind of a throwback for me. But that guitar riff is great. It's just so catchy as hell.
I know, isn't it?
What
Yeah.
I don't know, and I never looked this up, is okay. So it's talking about sex and drugs and rock and roll, but in the chorus, but the rest of it is about fashion and dressing up. Might as well dress brightly rather than gray is such a pity, he says. And so how
Right.
does that fit in with the other part about sex and drugs and rock and roll? Does it matter in this song?
But the thing
Because
is,
it's really an upbeat
right.
song, and it's just it's really kind of like, yeah, it's for fun. That's the overarching mood.
Well, no, but it's from what I understand, right? Is that as I thought I was going to give this to you, and I'm glad you took it, right? And doing some homework, right? Kind of, it seemed like actually there's a message behind it. From what I could gather, right? And looking at the lyrics, it makes sense to me. And again, I just kind of saw some indicators, okay, in the things that I
Mhm.
read, and
Is there
then
not much information out there?
not really, but I mean, there's some, okay, but I took that and then I looked at the lyrics again, and what I think that he's saying is that he's, you know, personally to him, it was, this is the life that he chose. He
Right.
does not never wanted a 9 to 5 job. This was the life, being a musician. And if that means sex, drugs, and rock and roll, then so be it, because it's better than being at a desk, and answering to, all that silliness and stuff like that and whatever.
Mhm.
And there was actually a couple lines that was kind of
So he's using
interesting.
the clothing thing as really just, it's an example of how you're going to live your life, and might as well have fun and stuff,
Yeah. Well,
rather
because
than like a gray life.
right, like, yeah, that part, every bit of clothing ought to make you pretty. You can cut the clothing. Gray is such a pity, right? So if you think about, 9 to 5 job, you're gonna wear a suit, kind of not a lot of fashion there. I should wear the clothing of Mr. Walter Mitty. See my tailor, he's called Simon. I know it's gonna fit. That was kind of clever lyrics and all like that.
Oh, with the
But like,
Simon and Taylor, yeah.
but if you go to the beginning, right, where he says, he opens up with sex and drugs and rock and roll is all my brain and body need. Sex and drugs and rock and roll is very good indeed. Keep your silly ways or throw them out the window. The wisdom of your ways, I've been there and I know. And I'm wondering, like, look, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, if you get to that point, where all this stuff, you're in the rock and roll life, and you got to make your decisions, right? And he's been there, and then he
Mhm.
goes, lots of other ways. And then I think that's where he's kind of looking at the other life. Like, if he wasn't in the rock and roll life, lots of other ways. What a jolly bad show if all you ever do is business you don't like. And then he
True
goes,
that.
sex and drugs and rock and roll, is very good indeed. And yeah, I just, so, I'm, maybe there's people out there saying, Greg, it's just a fun song, and it is a fun song, right? And the way I love his cigarette kind of low sex, his cigarette kind of like voice, sexy
Yeah.
and drug. I love it. So unique, I mean, he stands out. Like, I don't know anyone else who sounds like him. And he's just so, I don't know, cheeky, but there's like, it's fun.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
of
and
course.
he knows it. In the video, he's kind of like, he's got the, it's a little
Yeah.
flashy and stuff, and he's, I think he has a
Mhm.
scarf or something, and he's kind of whipping around like that.
What year did this come out?
Yeah, so I actually have the song in Wiki, and this came out in 1977.
Okay, that's what the reason I was asking was,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it before where um when you talk about new wave, you talk about bands like Depeche Mode and the Smiths and stuff,
Yeah.
right? When I do, it's like Ian Dury and the Blockheads, it's Elvis Costello and the
Yeah.
Attractions, it's
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A guy named, and I've been looking for this song that this guy did. Guy named Reckless, I think it's Reckless Eddie. I'm not sure. And it's something about working at the bank. If anybody out there knows, could you please put it in the comments? I'd love it if you did that. But anyway, so I look at it like there was a first new wave, and then there was right down the tail was a second new wave. It had a bit of a
Yeah.
different, had the heavier drum sound and synthesizer sounds were different overall. So this is definitely from the first one. I was listening to this,
Okay.
I got into this stuff. I had a job after high school in a machine shop, and we just played a station that played all this stuff. It was great, and it was like, wow, all this new stuff that
Yeah.
when everyone else was listening to classic rock, I was listening to that too. But this was like refreshing to me. And it was a lot of upbeat stuff, some new sounds.
Yeah.
It was a really great time musically for me.
I think that at that point, I was still my snobbery kind of everything Beatles and everything classic rock
Yeah.
that surrounded that, and the
It's kind
Zeppelin,
of
the
hard to
Who,
get
and all.
away from the Beatles thing though, because there's so much there.
Yeah, and then I broke out, man, like gangbusters in the '80s. But
Yeah.
when this song came out in the late '70s, whatever, yeah, I wasn't yet there, and I think you have a year or two on me.
Well, I got a year or two. Yeah, that's a big difference back then. Now it's like, yeah, whatever, man. We're in our.
Yeah, we're both old now.
We're in our 90s. Hey, we're both in our 90s. Okay.
He also so then do you know the song "Hit Me with Your Rhythm Stick"?
Yeah, I know that one.
Oh, you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that song.
Hit me hard,
That was
hit me
actually
quick. Yeah.
that was the first time that I connected him because I had known that this song, but I never put the name in the group, whatever. It's like one of those, I don't know. And then
Wait,
that song came out, and I found it.
I'm sorry, there was a dog barking.
Yeah, that's okay.
You said you knew the "Hit Me with Your Rhythm Stick." You just never connected that
Well,
one.
no. This song I knew, of course, but
Okay.
I had heard it, but I never really oh, you're in, like I never really looked to see who it was, whatever. It's one like I would hear on the radio, and that's kind of this song. When this song came, the other one, "Hit Me with the Rhythm Stick." I love that. I remember them, saying who the band was. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I looked into them a little bit, and then I made the connection, like, oh my God, they do that song. And then it's like, connection, ding. It was like that was really cool. Yeah. I love that song, and too bad you know that one. So I guess you know all the other ones. Yeah, and
I
then
only know those two.
okay. Well, I'm gonna have to. You know what? So if there are Ian Jury and the Blockhead fans out there,
I love the name of the band, the Blockheads.
oh my God, yeah, and they were really good. I mean, that song, like you said, the guitar riff. I love Drury at the end. Where he's
and the drumming was really.
the drumming's
cool in
really,
this
yeah,
song.
yeah, and they probably were fun live. I think they're actually still a band.
Probably.
I think my understanding.
No, I think he passed away.
No, he passed away, but I believe the Blockhead,
okay.
they're still a band, and but in that clip, in that video, man, they were like having fun. I mean, no, they're doing it for the camera, but I mean, you could just imagine that, that's kind of what their show was like, so, kind of like, too bad, different time and like that. But at the end of the song, he was going like, woo, he was going to do this kind of really like high pitched kind of squelchy kind of like, woo, and I actually wrote down, Michael Jackson, maybe Michael Jackson got the woos from him, and just refined it, to be like, woo, but actually Little Richard.
To go 2 octaves higher.
The oohs go back, right? Little Richard, and like that.
Yeah. The oohs is right back.
Those oohs, yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that, I was like, he heard it. But I'm glad you went ahead and listened to it. I think it's a fun song, man. Yeah.
But if it's a good song, we might as well do it.
All right, cool. All right. So, and I hope that people, like a lot of people, watch this reaction video. That means that, you know the song, you like the song, and you learned something new, maybe, hopefully. And that said, if you liked it, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subbed yet, that'd be fun, man. Come on, join the Rising channel. And that said, Chris, have a good night. And everyone, we'll see you on the next episode of Into the Music.